The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm China Barachina, sitting in for Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian shares climb as hopes of lower borrowing costs ease concerns about the U.S. economy. Despite doubts over the long-term credibility of U.S. policy, investors remain optimistic. Markets are betting on an 85% chance that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates in September, possibly by a full percentage point over the next year. All are currently in the green, with South Korea's Kospi rising the most at over 1%. The U.S. dollar is gaining ground today, rising against the Japanese yen, the Singapore dollar, and the South Korean won. However, it's losing some strength against the Thai baht and holding steady versus the Hong Kong dollar. As for the Australian dollar, it's trading lower against the greenback. In commodities, gold is holding steady with a slight downtick, while oil prices are mixed as markets react to global supply signals. In the crypto space, Bitcoin slides nearly 0.4% and Ethereum drops by about 1%. President Bongbong Marcos arrives at the Rashtrapati Bhavan on Tuesday. It's the official residence of Indian President Draupadi Murmu as he formally begins his state visit engagements in India. Two leaders, together with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, will hold bilateral talks and several engagements to boost ties between Philippines and India. After the meeting, Marcos and Modi will present the newly signed agreements between the two countries. The president next will fly to Bangalore to meet with the business leaders. President Bongbong Marcos could not hide his dismay over the rechanneling of funds for foreign-assisted infrastructure projects. During his podcast, the president revealed that funds for some of the country's critical foreign-backed projects had been wiped out. Marcos said the funds were transferred to questionable flood control projects.
Yung pinakamalaking naging problema yung foreign assisted projects, tinanggal halos lahat ng funding. So, kailangan natin ibalik yun dahil importante yung mga foreign assisted projects. At saka sinisira pati yan ang reputation natin.
Yes.
And the worst part of this all, yung napupunta, kuminsan yung mga project na hindi maganda, napupunta sa unappropriated. Ano yun? Utang yun.
The president has vowed to go after these erring government officials. Two senators are challenging the president's power to cut rice tariffs, blaming it for crushing local farmers. As Hannah T tells us, their move aims to protect livelihoods and save struggling rice industry.
Two senators are moving to strip the president of his power to set tariffs on imported rice. Senators Pangilinan and Hontiveros filed a joint resolution asking Congress to withdraw the president's authority under the tariff law after a massive drop in rice import duties. Under the executive order signed last June, tariffs on imported rice were cut from 35% to 15%. The result, a surge of cheaper foreign rice that farmers couldn't compete with. Pangilinan, who chairs the Senate Agriculture Committee, warned that local produce is being crushed by imports, which could slowly kill local farmers. The joint reso says palay prices have plunged to 16.9 per kilo, way below last year's 24.9 pesos, and barely above the production cost of 13.38. Senators say this is a direct result of lower tariffs that opened the market to excessive imports, making the country the world's top rice importer in 2024. The reso also rejects the idea that the president's power over tariffs is absolute, pointing out that Congress has the right to withdraw it under the customs modernization law. Pangilinan and Hontiveros now call for congressional caucus to review the current state of the rice industry and the struggling livelihood of Filipino farmers. Hannah T, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
A farmers group is supporting the Department of Agriculture's call to raise tariffs on imported rice and temporarily halt imports to help boost local farmers' income. In an interview on BNC's Business 360, Rosendo So, president of the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG, said raising tariffs to 35% will force importers to pay higher prices, helping local farmers sell their rice at fair rates. He recommends temporarily suspending imports around harvest season to give local crops a chance to sell better.
So far, the fresh harvest is only 8 to 10 pesos. So I don't think that is a fair price. So we need to increase the farm gate price so that farmers can plant again. If the tariff will be increased to 35%, the importer will base on the landed costs of rice. So with that, we think that the price of local palay buying from the farmers will increase to 17 to 18 pesos per kilo.
Former Energy Regulatory Commission Chairperson Mona Lisa Dimalanta cites political pressure behind her resignation. Dimalanta stunned the energy sector when she tendered her irrevocable resignation amidst her momentum. Speaking to BNC's At the Forefront, she revealed that the moment she was pressed to submit a courtesy resignation, it became clear she was no longer wanted in the position. She didn't mince words, calling her resignation an act of political discretion.
I think it was clear to me when the courtesy resignation memo was being followed up. It was clear that the message sent, so to speak, and message received. Plus, I was advised that I'm being considered for another office. So I think that was clear enough for me as a message that I wasn't seen anymore to be in the view of completing my term, my 7-year term at the ERC.
Do you
The courtesy resignation itself is an act of political discretion.
Dimalanta also emphasized the need to amend the EPIRA law to institutionally strengthen the agency and keep pace with the evolving power sector.
One thing that I think the ERC still needs is the ERC strengthening law or the amendment of EPIRA to strengthen the ERC, because we can't do this piecemeal as we have been doing over the last 3 years. We need a law that will become the basis for a full-blown reorganization of the agency.
We're taking a short break. More business stories are up next. You're watching Business Brief. Philippine inflation continues to ease in July, reflecting broad-based price stability across major commodity groups. Sujin Kim has the details. Go ahead, Sujin.
Inflation in the Philippines fell sharply to 0.9% in July, the lowest since October 2019, as rice, corn, and vegetable prices continued their steep decline. The biggest driver of the disinflation was rice, which recorded a year-on-year price drop of 15.9%, the largest decline since official PSA data collection began in 1995. Among the 3 types of rice, the most substantial price reduction was recorded in regular milled rice, supported by the 20 peso per kilo subsidized supply under the Kadiwa ng Pangulo program.
Ito po yung pinakamalaking pagbaba dito sa presyo ng bigas. Siguro mga next 4 months, we still be seeing negative inflation for rice. Ang expectation natin as an average rice inflation negative for the whole year.
Other major contributors include corn, which dropped by 17.7%, and vegetables, which reversed to a negative 1.9% inflation rate. These movements brought food and non-alcoholic beverage inflation into negative territory. Outside the food basket, non-food inflation also eased. Electricity, gas, and other fuels saw a steep drop from 5.5% in June to 1.5% in July, supported by lower generation charges, LPG prices, and deferred billing adjustments. Transport costs also declined faster, while lower inflation was recorded in personal care, education, and utilities. However, inflation rose for several key items, including rent, which accelerated from 1.7 to 2.1%, alcoholic beverages, clothing and footwear, and select health products. Despite the disinflation trend, several commodities continued to see price gains.
Yung inflation natin bumababa na, no? Pero overall, positive pa rin yun. So ibig sabihin, tumataas pa rin yung presyo ng mga bilihin on a yearly basis. Mas mabagal lang ang pagtaas ng presyo. May mga items nga tayo na medyo substantial yung pagtaas. Yung presyo ng baboy. Ang ating presyo ng pork per kilo, ang tinatrack namin, for example, yung kasim. Ang ating average price noong July ay nasa 371 pesos average for the Philippines. Pero noong July last year, ito ay nasa 335 pesos lang.
Meanwhile, vegetable prices are expected to rise in August due to weather disturbances from recent typhoons. Pag-asa expects between 9 to 7 tropical cyclones to affect the country from August to January. Meanwhile, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas confirmed that the July inflation print fell within its forecast range of 0.5 to 1.3%. It expects 2025 average inflation to stay below the lower end of its 2 to 4% target, primarily due to persistent lower rice prices. The BSP maintains that a more accommodative monetary policy remains appropriate to sustain domestic growth while closely monitoring external risks that may affect price stability. And those are latest updates from Quezon City. Back to you.
Thank you, Sujin Kim. The country's inflation rate may see an uptick in August. In an interview with BNC's Business 360, Manny Ocampo, President and COO of the Investment and Capital Corporation of the Philippines, cites widespread flooding in late July as a key factor.
We may not be as lucky as far as the inflation uptick or the numbers may be concerned, no? When we start figuring out inflation for this month of August.
He adds that the Philippines is unlikely to enter a period of deflation despite the latest data showing inflation easing to 0.9% in July.
We're far away from deflation. If anything, we probably will see an uptick in inflation for August. September, October, we'll start seeing prices to rise in anticipation of the Christmas spending season. So this is the par for the course about this time of the year anyway. So as long as inflation stays within the targets of the government, I think we should end the year pretty much below the government's target because. We've come up with really lower inflation numbers than expected for the past few months.
5 Philippine companies make it to Forbes Asia's 2025 Best Under a Billion list. It recognizes top-performing publicly listed small and mid-sized companies across the Asia-Pacific. These include ultra-Bilyonaryo Enrique Razon's Apex Mining Corporation and Dennis Ui's Converge ICT Solutions. Others who made it to the list are Andy Soriano's A. Soriano Corporation, Justin Lee's Figaro Culinary Group, and retail magnate Lucio Cos Philippine Bank of Communications. Forbes Asia said the list showcases businesses that remained resilient over the past year and even thrived. For the first time, government securities can be purchased through e-wallet platforms such as GCash under G-Bonds program. Finance Secretary Ralph Recto says Investing is now as easy as buying cell phone load with an initial investment worth as low as 500 pesos as of Tuesday morning. G Bonds has recorded 88,000 registered users and 41 million pesos worth of transactions. Online investment platform accounts for 663 million pesos in sales from 6,700 investors. Treasurer of the Philippines, Sharon Alamansa, describes move as a step towards a new frontier in retail investing. Philex Mining Corporation's net income slipped to 301.39 million pesos in the first half of 2025. In a disclosure, the listed mining firm led by Bilyonaryo Pangilinan said this 8.5% lower than 329.43 million pesos posted in the same period last year. The decline comes amidst mixed metal prices and reduced output. Megaworld's net income rose by 23% to 12.09 billion pesos in the first half of 2025. In a disclosure, the property developer said second quarter earnings also jumped by 31% to 6.26 billion pesos. The company cites a strong performance across its residential leasing and hospitality segments. Petro Energy Resources Corporation's Buhawind Energy unit has secured grid approval for its 2,000-megawatt offshore wind project in northern Luzon. The National Grid Corporation granted the facility study approval covering the technical requirements for grid connection. Buhawind is a joint venture between Petro Green Energy, a Bilyonaryo firm, and Denmark-based Copenhagen Energy. We're taking a short break. A look at how Philippine stocks did today coming up next. You're watching Business Brief. U.S. President Donald Trump threatens to raise tariffs on India over its purchase of Russian oil. Trump did not elaborate on what the tariff would be. Just last week, he said he would impose a 25% tariff on goods imported from India, in addition to unspecified penalty. Sources told Reuters it will keep purchasing oil from Russia. India is the fifth largest economy next to the U.S., China, Germany, and Japan. Joby Aviation is acquiring helicopter rideshare company Blade Air Mobility for $125 million. Joby is seeking certification from the Federal Aviation Administration for its electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. The company is on track to begin FAA inspection flight testing early next year, before it can begin commercial service. Blade flew more than 50,000 passengers in 2024 from 12 urban terminals, including JFK Airport in New York. Philippine shares closed in the positive territory after inflation eased to 0.9%. The PSE index ended higher by nearly 0.1% to a close at 63.53. Majority of the sectorial indices ended in the green, with property rising the most at over 1%. Advancers outpaced decliners at 93 to 86. The total value turnover reached 5.6 billion pesos. Majority of the day's most active stocks ended in the green, with Digi Plus rising the most at more than 2%. Meanwhile, at the foreign exchange market, the peso is currently trading at 57.33 against the greenback, appreciating from the previous close of 57.29. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm China Barachina. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business. only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. See you then.